tragedy, really. Right in that era, there was 3 real super great dogs as far as reproducers, and that was Little Joe, Roland Dickey's junior dog, and Speck. And it's kind of, Roland called me in the later years, not real long ago. He and I never were real good friends, but he called me and discussed the situation. And he said, it's just a crime that Junior and Speck both had to be alive at the same time. And I've thought about that a lot since. And to be honest, it was. It was. But all 3 of those dogs, they contributed a lot to the English dogs that we've got today. And there's no one can deny that, I don't think. But I started running the young dogs out of Speck. I got 3, I guess, from out of Tina, and I had Hard Time Hannah, who was a Grand Night champion, world champion. I had
called Rush.
Dog called Rush, made him a night champion, and sold him Mr. Skeens, and I think he made him a grand. And I had Grand Night champion Hard Time Son, and he went to Iowa. Just felt that there would be more of a place for him out there as far as a breeding program, because he was knee deep right here in Speck dogs. So we sent him to Iowa. But he was a nice dog. All those dogs were good dogs, just unbelievable.
That happened at a good time too, because they took off so quick. That really jump-started things to it.
Yeah.
Like you said, that was your Little Joe breeding helped things too.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Little Joe and Cash and Lady Bird and all that put together, with pretty much had what I wanted. But my buddy Joe Tackett, he had a dog. And he was out of Redbird. He was out of Redbird and Speck, and his name was Gunn. Ashley McDonald came down from Maine to breed a female, and he wanted to go hunting with Speck. And I told him, I said, I don't hunt that dog no more. But I'll tell you what I can do. I can put you in the woods with some puppies that are directly out of him. And I think we took 6 dogs, all of them started with Speck, and 6 different females. And Ashley told me when he left, he said, I never hunted with 6 dogs that good in my life, much less than just being puppies. But anyway, he wound up, he bought Gunn off of Joe. Joe thought he had priced him so high nobody would take him. He was probably 10 or 11 months old. And I think Ashley gave him $2,000 for that dog. And Ashley took him up there and he started bear hunting Gunn, and he made him a night champion. And I started running the hare dog, the wild hare, Grand Night champion. I'd done a bunch of winning with him. But he had one hole in him. He couldn't take the heat around the tree. He was a first dog all the way. But if you brought out with a real bad, rough dog, I mean, he'd take a lot of blowing and stuff, but if they started punching him with fangs, he couldn't take it. So I sat around here and thought about it, and I called Ashley, and it was right in midwinter. And I said, Ashley, you got something up there that I need. And Ashley said, Ed Bates, I've got something up here that needs you. Snow's about 6 foot deep up here, and he's laying over here on my couch, going to go to waste. And I asked him, I said, would you sell me that dog? And he said, I'll sell you half of him. If my memory serves me true, I give him $2,000 for half of him. And got him back down here, and I started hunting the dog hard, getting him in condition, doing just a little bit of minor hand work with him. And the first 3 hunts that I took that dog to, I took him to the Grand American. I don't remember, I had like 12 and a quarter, 12.50 with him and no minus. I won the Grand American with him. I took him to the U.S. Championship. I think I had 11 something with him up there, won the U.S. Championship. And then I hauled him to English Days and won that with 16 and a quarter. Man, that sucker could rack up some points for you. He was a scoring son of a gun. He was so quick in everything that he did. But I had Little Speck, Grand Night champion, that I ran. I couldn't even begin to name the dogs I ran and had. I had Little Speck, the Wild Hare, Spider dog. We heard about Spider in Calvin and I went in partners and bought Spider. And I think I probably was running gun. I'm not sure what I had here. But the agreement that Calvin and I always had when we were partners, if the price was right and the timing was right, you don't need to call me or I don't need to call you. We'll both stand behind what the other one says. But he called me one day and he said, I sold old Spider last night. Sold him to a guy in Indiana, Donnie Cunningham. And I didn't say anything, but boy, I was hurt. I thought, man, I hate that. But I got a hold of Donnie because we wasn't going to back out of our word. I mean, Calvin still had the dog down there, but he had been sold on a spoken word. So we let him have the dog, of course. And I called Donnie about a week later, and I said, if that dog don't suit you, Donnie, I'll come over and give your money back for him. And he said, oh, I love him, Ed. I wouldn't take nothing for him. Well, it went on maybe a month or so, and Donnie was having some domestic problems, and he had moved out of his home, and he said, Ed, if you want that dog, come and get him. And he said, I've got him tied up to the leg of my desk here at my office. I don't even have a place to keep him. And I said, I want him, Don. He said, but I'm going to Wisconsin. Me and some friends are, and I'd like to hunt him this coming week, and I'll let you have him when I get back. And I said, okay, that's fine. It'd be good for him. So I think I gave him $5,000 for that dog back. But Barbara and I took off over there and got us a motel room and pulled in his driveway, and we sat and weighed him out. And I said, we need to be here as soon as he gets here. And we weighed him out, and Don pulled in there, and he looked about half sick when he saw me. He said, well, I'm going to tell you one thing, Ed, you better be glad you're here, because he said, I was going to call you and back out on you, because I don't want to sell that dog. And I said, well, I'm here with the money, Don. And he said, you guys were a man of your word. I'll be a man of my word. Here he is. And, of course, I kept old Spider till he died. And, man, I placed him in the world hunt and done a lot of winning. I think he won, second UCHA world championship. But he did a lot of winning. He was an outstanding dog.
Well, the nice thing about Spider is he was out of full sister to gun also. He was out of Jane.
He was out of Hard Time Jane,
which was directly out of spec, and going back to your old stock Redbird.
Yeah, that's right.
Which Redbird was Meeks John and Little Joe Britt.
Right.
So I mean, it all fell in line too. So and I think that's the other thing you really liked about him too.
Yeah, and plus on the top side, he was out of Jerry Harmon's Ink dog, and I believe that Ink was a grandpup out of Old Cash too. So
great grandpup.
Was he a great grandpup? I knew he was tied up in the family. Mm-hmm. But man, he was a dog. He was quite a dog. But I had a dog on the tail end there called Spec 4, and this is about the time my wife got sick. I had I think 2 or 3 mules here, and I just when Barb got sick, she had cancer, and I just said, hey, I need to be at home. I'm done with coon hunting, so I sold that dog to a gentleman up in Maine, and then a good friend of mine, Buddy Norris, wound up getting that dog back. But anyway, I laid coon hunting down for a long time, and I got into squirrel dogs. Did quite well with them, real well. Had some good stud dogs in that, and a wonderful reproducer called Cadillac Jack that probably anybody in the world that's got a Feist dog knows who he was. But I got 3 grandsons, and they got to aggravate me about coon hunting, and I could see that they had that in their blood. And they said, Papa, let's get us a coon dog. So Buddy had bought a young dog, and he's down here in the pen now. And I remember Buddy's, he was about 14 months old, had just been hunted 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times, not very much. And I went on and asked Buddy, I said, Buddy, what are you going to do with that dog? And he said, well, right now I haven't been doing anything. He said, I've been working where I can't hunt. And I said, what would you take for that dog? And he said, who wants him? I said, I do. He said, I'll give him to you. And I said, no, you won't. No, I'm not going to do that. So he said, take him home and see if he's the kind of dog that you like. And I brought him home and I hunted him, it wasn't but a week later I went back over there and I said, buddy, I'm gonna buy that dog now. Let's talk money. So he sold him to me cheap. He same as gave him to me really, but I've got him out here now, and we coon hunt him, we pleasure hunt him. I don't care anything about running many hunts. I will say I wish I'd had him 20 years ago, because he's the right type. But I always, there's 2 or 3 things in a dog that I always demanded. And if I'm going to hunt a dog, it's got to go hunting. It's got to be a hunting dog. I don't like a dog that'll get out here and beat and bang all over the woods and mop and wax on a track. And if I go to a tree, I like to see a coon. I expect to see that coon. And that's the kind of dogs that I always tried to, to breed over other dogs of that type. But I've just had a wonderful, wonderful ride with my dogs, and in summary, I'd just like to say thank you for all you guys that have been hunting the hard time dogs and the cash dogs and the John dogs and all the rest of them I have, and I tip my hat to you guys, because you guys help contribute to what little bit of success that I've had. Thank you very much.
I'd say there's been more than just a little success there. I told you before we started we ought to write those dogs down, but gentlemen, I don't even know, to be honest with you, how many dogs do you have in the Hall of Fame? Do you know exactly?
I've got, I think, either 5 or 6. I've got Speck, Ladybird, Cash, John, Ramblin' Sue, Hannah,
Redbird's also.
Redbird, the Scott's dog, and then the Little Bird female that Alan had. She's in the Hall of Fame.
Raised Hannah, did you say her?
Yeah, I raised Hannah.
Well, like I said, you covered the majority of it there, but I mean, it's unbelievable the wins and the dogs and the multiple numbers of wins and dogs that's not even mentioned there. I mean, those are the highlights there. But I mean, that's just something to say when a guy can not even remember exactly how many dogs are in the Hall of Fame or how many wins or how many famous dogs he got. Because most people are just fortunate enough to have a good dog or 2. So I mean, I think that goes to show the dedication and the work and it's just unbelievable, to be honest with you, how many dogs have passed through these gates. Do you have any advice for any of these guys starting out, breeding dogs, hunting dogs, especially the English dogs? Do you have any special advice for them?
Yeah, I do have, and I always followed this. Breed the type of dog that you want. Breed what suits you. Don't breed for what you think will suit John Q. Public, because as a rule, John Q. Public doesn't do much winning. It takes a certain person, and go out there on your own, think outside the box, and breed for what suits you, not something that you can sell puppies out of.
I think you pretty well covered it there. I think that's what you've done and what worked for you. That's all I've got for now. I think that was a pretty good roundup of 30 years of coon dogs and English dogs. And I just want to tell you one thing. The dedication, the hard work, it's paid off. The rest of us, you made life easier on a lot of us. Me being one, I didn't have to start out at ground zero, and that was good and bad. But now there's a lot of guys out there hunting a lot of good dogs, and if it wasn't for what you've done, the English breed wouldn't be where it's at. And I'm proud of you, buddy.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.